The 5-Minute Solution series is brought to you by the Washington College Writing Center. This video will give you some strategies for making the most out of a peer review experience in your classes. We'll talk about the purpose of peer review, and we'll look at examples of the kinds of feedback you can give. The first question we should answer, though, is why peer review? Why do professors ask students to do this in the first place? We all know that if things don't work out well, peer review can feel frustrating, or even like a waste of time, especially if your partner just says, "Yeah, everything sounds good to me." Professors may have all sorts of reasons for requiring peer review, but here are 3 of the most common and important. First, peer review simply helps us to pay attention to our own writing. If you do your best to focus in on what you've written with another person, you'll usually notice something you would have otherwise missed, and you'll get new ideas that you wouldn't have had on your own. Peer review also encourages us to talk and think critically about our ideas. You may feel that you don't know a lot about writing or have anything to contribute, but you do. We all have experience getting our thoughts into words, and the more we practice and talk about the choices we've made in our writing, the better we get. Finally, peer review models professional practice. In most careers, you'll collaborate with and receive feedback from other coworkers and peers regularly. No writer, no professional would ever consider publishing something if other peers hadn't read it first. Next, let's think about how to approach the interaction you have with others during peer review. The most important thing to remember is that it's not your job to have all the answers. It's also not your job to tell the writer you're working with what to do. That might make them feel defensive or wary of your advice. Instead, your job is to help the writer notice things and encourage them to talk through their ideas. So, rather than framing the activity with expressions like, "you should," or "do this," you could instead use phrases like, "I notice," and "I think," followed up with questions like, "why" and "how." The main takeaway here is this: don't approach the interaction thinking you have to have all the answers. Now, let's look at some specific strategies you can use for working with another writer. First, get your partner to talk about his or her ideas. Peer review should be about more than just reading your partner's draft and making corrections. The goal is to talk or exchange ideas and to get some inspiration from another person. So instead of just going into correction mode, try to find out more about what your partner is thinking. If you're meeting with your partner in person, this is easy. Ask them how they feel about the work that they've done and what they'd like to know from you. It helps if you have a few questions in mind to start with, like, what do you feel best about? What's your biggest challenge with this assignment? Or, what do you think you need to do from here? Now, if you're just responding to a draft and you're not meeting in person with the writer for the peer review, this might be difficult. But in that case, you could have the writer send you some information along with the draft, using questions like the ones here. Next, start with what's working in your partner's draft. This is about more than just being polite or making empty compliments. If you help give your partner a sense of what's going well in the draft, it's often easier to see what needs to happen next. Do you like the examples your partner uses? Do you think your partner makes a convincing point? Try to say why you think those things work so well, and think about whether your partner could do anything else to highlight those successful moments. Finally, respond as a reader. This simply means reading your partner's words with interest and asking questions that come to your mind. Are there moments when you aren't sure you understand a sentence? Ask your partner to explain. Are there moments when you lose track of the main idea? Ask about your partner's thesis and how it connects to the rest of the draft. Here are 2 other simple ways you can respond. One is to summarize what you've read and share that summary with your partner. This will help your partner know whether the point he or she was trying to make matches what you've said. If not, your partner probably needs to work on focusing ideas. Another is to help your partner extend or expand on his or her ideas. Can you think of other examples or details your partner might draw on? Can you think of exceptions or counter-arguments your partner should consider? Share those thoughts, and you'll be surprised by how helpful they can be. So the next time you are assigned a peer review session in one of your classes, or when you just happen to be working with a friend, try these 3 simple approaches to responding to other writers. Remember, though, that the most important thing you can do for yourself and your partner is simply to pay attention. When you take time with another person to look closely at your writing, good things will happen. Thanks, good luck, and remember that you can always get a response to your writing at the Writing Center.